Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar Aftershow. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the Aftershow today is both the director of the Academy of Insurance and today's instructor. Today's class was auto insurance. You get what you pay for. And the instructor for today is Mr. Patrick Wraight. Patrick, welcome to the Aftershow. It's great to have you here.
George, it's always the best thing to do this week. Anyway,
Yeah,
every week.
I feel the same way. So, Patrick, today was the new to insurance session number 13, and is it the last one this year? I mean, just one more. Okay, great.
More.
So,
More.
In terms of auto insurance, you've given a bunch of auto insurance related classes. Was it tough to make it so that it was a new to insurance class, or did you resist? Because I noticed you dipped into auto symbols at the end, so I didn't know if you were edging away from the new to insurance part of it, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, so it felt like really had to kind of walk the line a lot with keeping it high level, making it very basic level related to auto insurance, because there's so many rabbit holes and trails you could go down. So I really had to work at keeping it where it was. And the diving into the symbols, I mean, we just really touched the surface with it and just kind of introduced auto symbols for the business auto policy.
Got it. So you claim that auto insurance is ubiquitous and most customers really don't understand it. But I know when I'm filling out an auto policy, I mean, I have to fill out a declaration page. Those seem pretty straightforward. What is it about auto insurance that most people don't understand?
I think what they don't get is that disconnect between how much it really costs, what kind of coverages they're getting, and why going with the lowest price is not always the way to go, right? I mean, because you think about how personal auto in particular is marketed, right? I mean, everybody's racing for the bottom, the lowest possible price. But that doesn't necessarily cover the risks that a person is assuming when they get behind the wheel of their car.
So I feel like a risk is a risk. And I talked about a couple of different kinds of auto policies: personal auto and commercial auto. Those are the two sort of main ones you went back and forth between. I would think that they'd both be pretty easy to understand fundamentally. Like, if you hit something, have collision insurance. What's harder to understand, commercial auto or personal auto, based on like state regulations or lack thereof, or things like that?
Yeah, I think commercial business auto is going to be a little bit more complicated for people to get, only because when you start diving into the who is an insured, and when is the company insured, but not the person driving or owning the vehicle potentially not insured. So those kind of details and nuances, they can really create trouble especially for the smaller commercial insured.
Got it. Now, I would think that auto risk is auto risk, and insurance is is famous for being different state to state. Like, there's no national insurance regulations or anything like that beyond like common sense. I don't know. Just why is it so ungoverned? Like, in terms of that, do you think there should be? And I'm waiting for the vintage Patrick Wraight answer, but do you think there should be a national insurance set of laws and rules, or is it different state to state? And why is it different? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, the easy thing about the insurance, right, is that the basics of auto insurance are really the same state to state. You need liability to cover if you're at fault in an accident. You want to have physical damage, comp and collision if you tear up your car. You might want some way to handle your own injuries if you're in an auto accident, right? But let's take this kind of piece by piece, right? Would I recommend a national auto insurance law? No, 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 no.
Yes or no? It was procured. This is
Not yes, but no. And it's just like anything else in insurance because it evolved state to state. You know, uh, the early adopters in auto insurance, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, the first personal auto policy to ever be sold was to a doctor in Buffalo, New York. I might not have that completely accurate, but I'm thinking that's correct. Um, and so you can trace auto insurance back to New York over the years. More states enact insurance laws, and some states do it a little different. And some states are more complicated as they go. So one of the reasons it does complicate things is that we do have this multi-state system where not every state does it the same, and we don't have a federal law. And if you're me, you don't want a federal law. We want to leave it alone. Let the states have it, and for a lot of reasons. But the complexity of it is at the same time is it's also simple, right? I mean, it's auto insurance. You get in, you have an accident, you're at fault. The auto insurance pays for it. The basic framework's very simple. It's just when you get into as they say, the devil's in the details, right? When you dig in state to state, as I was reading it, and I've lived in New York, I would not have thought that in New York State you could use your PIP coverage for spiritual healers. And being in Florida, I was aware that you only had 14 days to go to your to go in and say, "Ow, something hurts. I had a car accident. I need PIP," and those kinds of things. So those minutia, right? That's really where where you have that. One of the reasons why it'd be very difficult to go from a state to a federal system.
I was curious about when someone goes out of, they have coverage in their state, like auto coverage, and then Lycor has auto coverage if you want to go the simile route. Then they fly to California and they rent a car, and the rental car place says, "Do you want our coverage or do you want to rely on your own coverage?" If a rental car agency insures you with their coverage, are you only and their laws are less, or their regulations are less than what's in your state, are you then only covered by that state's insurance regulations? Or do they offset, or are you still covered by, say, New Hampshire's regulations because you're from New Hampshire, but you elected not to use your coverage?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it goes back to if you're talking about, especially in the personal lines, or even in the commercial, the auto laws that prevail are the laws in the state where you have the accident. So if I am a New Hampshire driver and perhaps in New Hampshire, I opted not to try and purchase auto insurance, right? Because you could. And I go to California and I rent a car from the rental agency, and they offer the insurance. If I purchase it there, that whatever their limits are, whatever their insurance they've got, that's what's going to respond. And since I don't have a policy of my own, it all goes to them. So that, hope that answered somewhere around about the question, but yeah, I mean, the coverage exists based on where you are when you have the accident.
So if I drive to Delaware and there's less regulations in Delaware, it doesn't mean I'm liable for more stuff if I drive out of state than if I'm in the state where I bought my insurance, where I live, and I'm protected. So does my collision not count? In Delaware, if Delaware's collision doesn't.
Oh no, the collisions, that's going to be fine. That's what we're really thinking about there is our liability piece, right? And hopefully we've been around insurance long enough, and we've got We've got good agents on our side that would say, "Hey, look, let's not buy the state minimum because if you buy, let's just say, $100,000 per person bodily injury, right, and maybe 200,000 or 300,000 per accident, then you've exceeded any state's minimum requirements, and so you don't have that issue."
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, yeah. If you're insuring to sensible levels for people who are trying to protect their assets and trying not to have any real major issues later on, then you don't have any of those kinds of coverage issues popping up.
Got it. Patrick, you talked about physical damage coverage other than collision coverage and specified causes of loss. So under physical damage coverage, you mentioned missiles, which I thought was interesting. So a missile hitting you or nearing you or hitting your car, I should say, is covered under physical damage coverage, or it could be.
Yeah. So, especially when you're thinking about, you got to determine between the difference between collision, right? And when you're talking physical damage, that's anything that could happen to the vehicle, any damage that happens. And so if you talk collision, that's an impact with another vehicle or an overturn of the vehicle. Okay. What we often refer to as comprehensive, often technically is called other than collision. And one of the things that could happen is some flying object other than a bird could impact the car. And we're going to call that a falling object or a missile.
So the missile is the way an object might hit you is what you're describing as missile, not driving to an antique fair and getting hit by a scud that somebody took home from the Gulf.
Right. Yeah. We're not
back in. Okay. Not a literal missile. I got
not a literal in the military sense missile, a missile, something flying this way.
Here's another question. Under physical damage coverage, you mentioned malicious mischief. Other than collision, malicious mischief. Then we get to specified causes of loss, and it's just mischief. It's not malicious. Why is a specified cause of loss that's malicious not required to be malicious? And what is the difference between malicious mischief and mischief? Patrick
Allow
Wraight.
me to bring up my notes.
Thank you. I mean, you mentioned them, but I'm just wondering, like, how much mischief can I get away with under these, or not get away with? Let me just say that
you can get away with much more mischief than others can. I'm just going to say that out loud. You're George. George can get away with a lot of mischief.
I am George, so I guess I'll just agree with that. I'm still walking around, so I guess I've gotten away with whatever I've gotten away with so far.
So far, so good, right? It's really mostly just a difference in how it's written. The idea of being, in one policy, it's written malicious mischief. The other, it's written just mischief. So it's all essentially the same kind of umbrella term. People fooling around and finding out, breaking the car.
Okay, so it's all just mischief.
Yeah,
but some policies,
some hoodlum, some punk, some punk.
Joe Friday over here. I love it. Some punk. I guess that would make me Harry Morgan, which is fine with me.
That'd be fine. That's all right.
Sure. Uninsured motorists by state. You gave a bunch of states, which actually scared me about Florida and California, but a bunch of states that we may or may not want to be more careful or less careful driving around in because they're uninsured motorists. And you said the worst offender was Mississippi. Is that correct?
That's correct. Mississippi.
So, and you said this is based on statistics, like I guess, uninsured motors. Do motorists in these states and their capacity to get in accidents ever inform the statistics or not?
Yeah, so the Insurance Research Council had done some research, obviously, with these states. When you've got reported people who for whatever reason they don't have their insurance anymore, and that's reported to the state, or there are accidents and they report to the state. But a lot of times not everyone that's driving without insurance is that easy to know, because for whatever reason that may not report. It may not report quickly. But yeah, those numbers I would estimate are probably on the low side. So it's very frightening, the idea of just how many people driving around without even basic insurance on their, for what they do. And as long as they don't have an accident, it's not a problem.
Which brings me to my next question. So if an uninsured motorist from Michigan decides, hey family, we're gonna pack up the car and go to Mississippi, which leads the country in uninsured motorists. So if an uninsured motorist from Michigan goes to Mississippi, does that mean they're twice as uninsured? And if they get into an accident, they are twice as liable for whatever happens if they have no insurance? Or does that count twice as a statistic? Or talk to me.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. And here's the answer.
You have an answer?
Maybe.
Okay, great. I'm ready.
You ready? You ready?
Absolutely.
Here's the answer. Maybe.
Now that's the response I thought I'd get earlier. Very good. Thank you. Patrick, I'm going to ask you one more question, and that is
make it a softball.
Yep, it's definitely a less put you on the spot question, I guess. I don't. Yeah. So, and I'm Harry Reasoner over here. I'm very hard hitting. We've got a few more webinars coming up in October. Next week we've got 2 because of a scheduling issue with a previous. No, we don't actually. No, I'm not sure why we have 2, but I guess you can explain that. So, October 21st we have John Burnett joining us for E&S property underwriting. Thursday, we've got Gotchas That'll Get You, which is a vintage Fred Fisher class. And then Nancy, our dear friend at the Big I, October 30th, Challenges in Agency Mergers. Can you tell us what we're going to expect from those 3 classes? Patrick Wraight.
Yeah, so John and I connected earlier this year, and simply I'll be honest, I'll confess this in front of you and our audience. I double booked. And so he was originally scheduled for Fred's date. And so we opted not to move Fred, and John was gracious to us, and he's going to meet with us. He's going to talk to us about the issues that come up when it comes to sending a property risk to the E&S market. How does that underwriting look? What might be different? What might be important to understand and know when you're dealing in the property market outside of the admitted market? So we're really excited about that one. And then we've got Fred with more policy language, more court cases, and more ways that brokers and agents can distinguish themselves with their clients by providing great understanding of policy wording rather than just selling on price or whatever else. And we're very excited to have Nancy at the end of the month with her session all about mergers and acquisitions and those risks that come along with that.
We're all excited and double booked. I didn't think I was going to get that out of you, but yeah, I guess so.
I mean,
all right.
I just being honest.
Well, here's another. This might be less of a on the spot one or more of an on the spot one. So this is one of your favorite times of year. It's the championship series in baseball. Who do you like? Not who do you like, but who do you think will win the NLCS and the ALCS? We've got the Dodgers Brewers, and we've got the Blue Jays and the Mariners. Who do you like?
I feel very strongly about this, George, and I want to be on record with this one. I think we're going to have a Dodgers Blue Jays series, and Blue Jays in 7.
I will agree with you, Patrick. I think those are going to be the 2 teams, but I'm picking Dodgers in 6.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough. All right.
Our predictions are in. Patrick Wraight, great class today. Thank you so much for your help. and for being the triple threat you are, which is director, instructor, and fantastic after show guest.
George, I just love the after show, and I do appreciate that you've got a claims journal background today. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, I had to think. I'll be if you're in the spirit of honesty. I started the recording. I started our countdown, and then I looked up, and there's my sticky notes, my everything that the audience doesn't normally see. And I was like, Fuchi Capesta, I better get a better background up than this. So I clicked what I thought was the most plausible looking background, and it's yeah. So I mean, shout out to my claims journal,
our
peeps.
claims journal peeps.
Absolutely. Patrick Wraight, thanks for everything, and we'll see you next time.
I'll be here. You be here.
All right, we be where we be at. Have a great day, everybody. We will talk to you next time, if not sooner. Take good care.
Thank you.
Sorry, join the Academy. What are you waiting for? You should have like a
right
commercial jingle at the end of this.
Join
the Academy.